All right, let's get into it. You have to understand, the market, it isn't really a market, it's a machine. A coded reality built by the suits on Wall Street to run on their rules for their profit. But us apes, we're not here to play their game. We're here to find the glitches. You know, the rounding errors, the vulnerabilities they try to patch before anyone else notices. And today, we've found a big one. A cascade failure that's starting on Main Street, and trust me, it goes all the way to the top.
Listen to this. This isn't some line from a boring quarterly report. This is a distress signal from the real world. A flare shot up by a business owner, a guy named Jared Hendricks. He's not talking about PE ratios, he's talking about pure survival. This is the sound the system makes when the code starts to decay. It's a signal from the ground floor that the suits in their ivory towers are choosing to ignore.
So, here's the big question. What if this isn't just a bug? What if the machine itself is actually breaking down? In this explainer, we are going to connect the dots. We're going to trace the single glitch from a struggling small business to a massive industrial giant that's bleeding cash, all the way to a hidden danger in the auto market. And if you stick around, we're going to reveal a potential safe harbor, a place that might just thrive when the system gets this chaotic.
Okay, first things first, the official story. Before we can exploit the glitch, we have to understand the machine's programming, the story the suits want you to believe. So on one side, you have the suit narrative. They'll tell you tariffs are a shield. They're going to protect jobs, bring manufacturing home, heck, maybe even replace the income tax. It's a nice story, right? But on the other side, you have our analysis, which is based on the raw data coming in. And it says tariffs are just a tax on you, the consumer, a tax on businesses, and they're causing failures that are rippling through the whole system. The numbers, they just don't add up.
And now for the first piece of hard evidence. Let's call it glitch number 1, the tariff shock. This is what happens when the policy code hits economic reality and the whole system just starts to lag.
Look at this number, 12 grand. This isn't some billion-dollar write-down on a Wall Street balance sheet. No, this is what a single music store in Georgia lost during back-to-school season. Why? Because their instruments were stuck at a port, completely tangled up in tariff confusion. For small business, that's not a rounding error. That is literally rocket fuel for bankruptcy.
And the glitch gets bigger. A single aluminum parts manufacturer getting squeezed by these tariffs just packs up and moves to Canada. And the result? 11 families have to sell their homes and move with it. See, this isn't a stock chart dipping for a few hours. This is a community getting hollowed out, one glitch at a time.
And the glitch just keeps scaling up. We went from a music store to a community, and now to an American icon, John Deere. They are staring down the barrel of a $1.2 billion hit from tariffs in fiscal 2026. And get this, that's double the impact from the year before. The critical point here is this glitch isn't being patched, it's getting worse.
So we've detected the glitch. Now we trace the signal. We're going to follow it as it corrupts the system, jumping from one sector to the next, from the farm to the freeway.
Just look at this timeline. This is not a V-shaped recovery. It's a slow bleed. A $600 million hit becomes a $1.2 billion hit. And the suits, the analysts, they say the earliest they see any kind of recovery is fiscal 2027. That is not a temporary adjustment. That's a deep systemic wound.
But the code decay doesn't stop with the companies making the tractors. The biggest ripple, the one that should worry everyone, is hitting the people trying to buy things, the consumer. And right now, nowhere is that pain clearer than in the auto market.
Check this out. In just 4 months, the rejection rate for car loans more than doubled. It shot up from under 7% to over 15%. What does that tell you? It tells you the credit lines are freezing up. The average person is getting squeezed out of the market for one of the most important things they'll ever buy. The consumer is weakening, and it's happening fast.
So, while the American consumer is getting locked out of credit, what's happening on the world stage? While Ford's own CEO is admitting that their Chinese EV competitors have them beat on cost, on tech, and on quality. So let's get this straight. You've got a credit crunch at home and superior competition from abroad. That's not a glitch, my friends. That is a pincer movement on Detroit.
So, we've seen the economic glitches, but honestly, those are just symptoms. The real problem, the deep-down vulnerability, starts when the casino itself begins to crumble. What happens when the very institutions that are supposed to enforce the rules start decaying from the inside? Well, that's when a glitch becomes a full-blown system shock. Now listen to this quote. This is not from some disgruntled trader on a forum. It's from a prosecutor. Inside the Department of Justice, they're describing a culture of fear. They're talking about losing their best people. This is the operating system of the entire country showing signs of critical corruption.
And it's not some isolated incident either. Another senior attorney from a really critical section said it as plainly as you can. The brain drain was beginning. When the experts, the people with the institutional memory, start running for the exits, it means the very foundation is unstable.
And this brings us to the big one, systemic risk. Think about it. Who enforces the rules of the market? Who stops the players from just cheating? Well, when the referees themselves start leaving the game is compromised. It doesn't matter if you pick the right stock. It doesn't matter if your technical analysis is perfect. It's like having a royal flush at the poker table, right as the entire casino floor collapses into a sinkhole. When the system itself is at risk, the old rules just don't apply.
All right, this is where we close the loop. This is the moment. We've traced the glitches from tariffs all the way to institutional decay. Now we put it all together. We synthesize the data into a working theory. This is the Ape Thesis for navigating the chaos.
So here's how we see this breaking down. Industrials, like Deere, they're in a slow bleed from margin compression. Our theory? Avoid the falling knife. Autos? That's a high-risk sector, caught between a credit crunch and fierce competition. It's what we call a pure glitch trade. Super volatile, unpredictable. But what about that institutional chaos? The decay at the top? When faith in the system itself begins to erode, where does capital flee? And that brings us to hard assets. Gold, silver. This is the potential chaos hedge we talked about at the start. It's the classic flight to safety when the casino floor starts to buckle.
So here's your watch list. We don't do tickers here, we do themes. Watch the relationship between institutional decay and the price of hard assets. Keep an eye on that consumer credit squeeze. Watch for more domestic margin compression and that foreign competitive pressure. And look, let me be absolutely clear. Apes, this is a casino. All of this is educational banter, pure speculation. It is not and it never will be financial advice. We're just analyzing the probabilities.
So, we've laid out the data. We've shown you the theory. We've exposed the glitch in the matrix. Now, the next move is yours.
I mean, think about it. The suits built this whole casino, they wrote the rule book, and they want you to believe that it's infallible. But what do you do when you can smell smoke? What's the play when the rulebook itself is on fire?
You find the glitch, you exploit the pattern, and you stay liquid.
So what about you? What's the biggest glitch you see in the system right now? Drop your analysis in the comments below. We read all of them. We are watching this chart like a hawk. And while you wait for the next candle, you might as well grab some free chips from the casino. The links are in the description to get free assets on Public, check Webull for their BTC promo, or grab some NVIDIA stock on Moomoo. Use their money to play their game. Smash the like, subscribe to the tribe, apes together strong.